Hey everyone, it's your magical older sister Luna coming to you with a video I've wanted to make for a long time. Also subscribe, there's lots of content coming soon, especially a lot of requested subs. Also side note, sorry for the robo voice, I do want to protect my voice. Especially since I use it to make the subliminals, so these tutorials will be using this until further notice. Thank you for understanding. For some background information, I started listening to subliminals almost 10 years ago, and to be honest, it took a lot of time before I found a way to make them work for me. I hope with this video I can save you a whole bunch of time. When I began listening, I wasn't happy, and things actually got worse before I found my way to what I wanted. I will also say I am not here to sell you any quick solutions or answers. There are tons of law of attraction and subliminal gurus or influencers that do that already. As you can see, I am a small channel. And all I'm working on right now is sharing subliminals I've made for myself that worked, and to share what's personally worked for me. I have nothing to gain from this. I just want to share and alleviate the suffering I know many are feeling the way I used to. I am not an expert by any means, but I also am not going to sugarcoat the process. If it was super easy the way everyone says, I feel like people would be a lot happier in general. But anyways, let's get into it. Something I've always heard a lot of people say in the subliminal law of attraction community is that you don't need anything, you just need to believe. That being consistent and having unwavering belief is all you need to change your reality. This is true, but it isn't what worked for me. It is true in a sense. That's actually backed up by neurobiology, which is that repetition rewires the brain. The more you do something, the more it becomes part of who you are. For example, you probably don't think twice about walking or brushing your teeth, since you've most likely been doing it for years. But what you forget is that at the beginning, when you were a toddler, it took a lot of trying, falling, adjusting and frustration until you finally got it. It became a new behavior, then a habit, then it just became you. I personally think this is the harder, and not smarter, road. If you want to change your eye color, and you've known that you've had brown eyes since birth, and your parents both have brown eyes, it's going to take a lot of repetition to change that, even if you truly believe that manifestation is real. After years of listening and not seeing change, I decided to study more about the subconscious. I'm going to keep the technical section as short as possible, but stick with me so I can give you some background information. I started reading about Carl Jung's teachings about the subconscious. Jung was a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and psychologist that believed that the subconscious ruled a lot of our life in ways we cannot know of until we gain awareness of it, and that the goal of a human being was to reach individuation, which means to integrate all unconscious sides of who you are into who you're meant to be. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about shadow work. And this is an example of a side of our subconscious that oftentimes remains hidden, therefore becoming a shadow. This is a great representation of how Jung viewed our psyche, aka our mind, and therefore ourselves. As you can see, there are endless parts of our subconscious. We have the person we have been conditioned to be by society, by our environment, our familial line and our parents, by ourselves as we grew up, and began pushing our shadow traits away, and repressing parts of ourselves. When I first learned about this, I immediately realized why subliminals had never worked for me. I was using subliminal affirmations to overwrite scripts, personas and cycles that had been planted in my subconscious since before birth. I'm bypassing a lot of information here. But one of the ways Jung said to come to wholeness was to use archetypes, use these to integrate all sides of ourselves. I realized that any subliminal I had ever listened to was attempting to 1. override experiences and beliefs that were in my subconscious that were causing me unhappiness and pain too. Meet a need I had that fell under all of these archetypes. This changed everything for me, and the path became clear. Nothing about you is coincidental. You might not realize it, but where you are right now, your body carries all that you've ever been. Right here, wherever you are. All of the selves that you've ever been. You weren't born into the world a new person. You come from a long line of people, family and ancestors, whose lives and choices made your existence possible. Yes, you are a unique and one-of-a-kind mix of all of that. The shortcut here is to unravel what came before you, so you can know where you stand today. Your lineage plus your past determine everything about you. So I knew I had to go into my subconscious. See what's been planting and growing there that I wasn't aware of, and clean those out before I could try to become something new. Another reason why repetition and discipline with my subliminals was never going to work is because the job of our subconscious is partially to keep us alive. To learn from experience and keep us away from danger and hurt. So anything that didn't agree with the beliefs that I had, unconsciously, was seen as a threat by all systems of my body. The more I repeated affirmations, the more they settled in as a threat. Because even though I knew that those changes I wanted to manifest were going to bring positive change, my brain and body were settled into staying in the safety they knew. The reason why things aren't manifesting is that you don't have enough capacity to hold them as something healthier and better. And the more we pound into ourselves and manually try to force change, the more attacked our subconscious will feel and the more stuck we are. And anyway, how good is a blessing if we don't have the capacity to hold on to it? Okay, I know that was a lot of information, and if y'all are interested, let me know. I can make another video going more in depth about the parts of your subconscious and how they came to be plus the purpose they have in our identity. But now, let's get to how I made change. Basically, I realized that the cycle I was stuck in was this. 1. I want to manifest this. 2. I find a subliminal. 3. I feel good, excited and motivated that this will change and I will get what I want. 4. My subconscious registers that there is a new input and that it's attempting to change us or take us somewhere new. 5. It registers it as different and a threat. 6. The body goes into fight, flight or freeze state, most often freeze or shut down. 7. I keep listening and pushing it until I start to feel not so good. Or 8. I fall off the wagon and blame myself for not being able to manifest. 9. Blaming myself leads to shame, which reinforces the existing subconscious beliefs. The way out of this cycle is to first of all realize that we're in it, and then respond differently. So here is the process, step by step, that led to lasting change, and what I still do now honestly. This is the process that took me from broke, unhappy with my appearance, chronically ill and unable to work, stuck in an abusive relationship with a boyfriend I manifested by the way, triggered by everything, no friends, no happiness, no hope and no joy, into now. I got 1 degree and I'm working on another one. I have perfect grades, I have a healthy group of friends, relationship with my family and especially with myself. I finally have a healthy body, inside and out. And I look the way I've always wanted to. I am by no means done, and still working out on more things I want to manifest, but that's part of the fun. Alright, enough talk. Let's get into how I apply this information. I'm going to use as an example something that I manifested. To be honest, I've always wanted to be shorter. I thought it fit me better. And I wanted a more proportionate body. What I wanted to manifest. Shorter legs, how it showed up. If I had shorter legs, I'd be happier. I'd love myself more. That was the response to the stimulus. I personally knew this belief wasn't going to work for me because it was rooted in shame and in ifs. Here is something that I want you to really remember: curiosity. 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 When I saw myself thinking that way, I paused, took notice, and became curious. Why? Why is it that I believe that this particular thing is going to bring me a specific feeling? Why is it that I said happiness and self-love? Can I reach those states any other way? Do they have actually anything to do with the physical change, or am I just craving them on their own? And most importantly, can I just want shorter legs because I want them? Can I just embrace that that's the look I like the most, and what I want for myself? Nothing attached to it, and no need to reason with myself? Can I embrace my own wants without having to explain myself? This is a really good exercise to do in your journal, by the way. I really enjoy doing it that way. The point of being curious is to find the root of your want, and make sure it is as solid as possible. If it's based on unrelated feelings and past experiences, it has a shaky foundation. The end goal of this part is to arrive at sovereignty in yourself and who you want to be. Now let's keep going. Now that I have met my needs, and I have singled out and isolated my want for what it is, I can finally say, I want shorter legs. Period. We can move to step number 2. Find a subliminal. Not going to lie, I think making your own is best. I'm working on a video right now on how to make your own, but for now, let me just explain why. Remember when I said that new beliefs and wants are often interpreted as a threat by your brain and body? What do you think would make it less threatening? A computerized, AI voice? The voice of a stranger, or your own voice? Depending on who you are, the answer may vary. Since I was actively changing my own relationship with myself and my body, I knew that my own voice was going to sound the most familiar to me, and that my body already knew and recognized it versus the voice of a stranger that it's never met. So I always recommend making your own, but anyways, we find a subliminal, right? Okay, step 2 is done. We are feeling happy, excited, ready to manifest what we want. We begin listening and keep at it. Now this is the tricky part. My subconscious registers that there is a new input and that it's attempting to change us or take us somewhere new. It registers it as different and a threat. We need to recognize when this happens. Your body doesn't communicate in words, it communicates through sensation, feeling, and emotion. This is a muscle, y'all. It is time to recognize these states in yourself. For me, I would have a mix of these states, most often fawning. I would think, what if people really notice the difference? What will they say? Fear of judgment, flight, maybe I should just take a break or stop all of this. Freeze, will people still think I'm beautiful if I'm shorter though? Don't all models have really long legs? Need of validation, comparison wounds, the belief that conformity is safest, also known as the people pleaser part of fawning, and I would often flip-flop from this rumination to, no. I'm going to keep listening no matter what and no matter what I feel. Intimidation, fight, I cannot miss an hour or day of listening, I just have to put my mind to it. Flight, perfectionism, or also losing boundaries and being dependent on subliminals in order to feel okay, aka fawning. And this mess would end up in being stuck and quitting, which falls under freeze or shutdown. This chart helped me so much at the beginning. Our goal is to bring ourselves back to the green part. My advice here, especially if you're just starting, is grabbing a notebook and pen. Write it all down. What do you feel? What sensations, what emotions? Where are they in your body? Describe them in detail as much as possible. What thoughts are running through your mind? Which category do they fall under? Remember, this is a normal part of the process. Keep curiosity alive. When you realize that this is coming up, say, This is happening. Okay, I see that you're not feeling great. Let's take a moment to take care of you. This is kind of crass, but I used to remind myself to treat myself like an abused puppy. I was my own caretaker and I needed to make my body realize that no threat is happening, everything is cool and safe now. You can have coping mechanisms for these states. Do a little bit of research. Or I can make a video sharing my favorite ways to bring myself back to baseline when this happens if you want. I'm also going to make a playlist on my channel with resources that have helped me in meditations or energy exercises that keep me regulated. I can share all of that if it helps you. Honestly, that's the toughest part and the most labor-intensive. It takes a while to ground the body, but it's worth it. I promise it's so worth it, and you will see change. As overwhelming as these states may be, know that they are just feelings and sensations and they will pass. They will pass. By allowing the body to finish these cycles and calming it down into the safety of the present moment, we are rewriting our subconscious and prepping it for making the changes we desire. After you go through this and your body reaches safety, please rest. I know you're so eager and excited to listen to your subliminals, but the body needs to rest at this stage. It is crucial. Rest and relax. The only subliminals allowed during this phase are resting ones. I have one on my page, I'm probably uploading a new one soon. It's just an hour of nature sounds, which are relaxing to our systems. And simple, gentle affirmations that create more safety in the rest itself. Your body will let you know when it's ready for subliminals and to try again. You may have to go through this process more than once, and that's okay. Each time you reinstate a feeling of safety in yourself, you are clearing more and more space in your subconscious. This is really the part that was the toughest but made the most difference for me. I realized there were multiple parts of me that didn't match with who I was that day, and they came up as those thoughts, and that's because they were traumatized, hurt, and scared. They were parts that had stayed alive within to protect me so things wouldn't get worse. I realized that they had limited information and couldn't really guide me to what I wanted. But they also were the things stopping me from moving forward. So I paid attention to them. This is the hard part. Abraham Hicks talks about feeling, and how feeling is needed to manifest and see change. All that we are doing here is finding the feelings that are the opposite of what we want to feel, going into them and alchemizing. I said to myself and all my parts, all right, tell me how you feel, and let's feel it, let's process it, so you can realize that what we want isn't really dangerous. By going through it again and again we kill the cycle, and we embark on the spiral of change. The movement that actually keeps you moving forward. Let's keep going with the example from before. Something that helps me is looking at the thoughts I was having and dissecting them a bit, with lots of kindness and curiosity. What if people really notice the difference? What will they say? Action plan. Feel the fear. The past experiences where people made comments or bullied me because of my appearance. Let me body fully feel without pushing it away, shaming it or trying to change it. It must finish the process. Will people still think I'm beautiful if I'm shorter though? Don't all models have really long legs? Action plan. Once again, feel the fear. Let all the memories come up where I was compared or I compared myself to others. Where I just wanted to fit in and disappear because I wasn't good enough. Memories of trying to get validation from others, or when my parents didn't validate me as a child. Let the process unfold. Remember the polyvagal graph from before, it's literally a wave. Let the wave do its own thing. If it is too overwhelming, I know I have multiple coping mechanisms I can turn to. But I know that regardless, I'm safe. And then, for both, reparent. Reassure myself that I am here now, and I am this now, and I know better. We learned from those experiences, actually. And we know that the reality is much more complex than me just being bad or not good enough. We know now that the people who bullied us were also suffering. And also probably didn't feel good enough themselves, and that they projected that onto us, and it is not for us to carry. That no matter what you look like, someone will make a comment. And it actually has nothing to do with you. All that matters is how you feel. What feels the most natural to you, and how confident you feel. That maybe we wanted validation, and that's natural. But now we have an endless source of validation, ourselves and the universe. And the more we lean on those, the more we will find people who will see us for who we are and who we want to be and will love us that way. And finally, that fitting in never kept us safe. The only thing that can keep us safe is our own relationship and how we use our magic. The moment I took this to really go through this process, subliminals started working like magic. Literally. Overnight results. Because now all of me, all the selves that I've ever been that are within me today, all the parts of the subconscious, all archetypes trying to integrate, they all have their needs met, their emotions acknowledged, and they all feel safe, which meant that change was inevitable. It was easy to choose what I actually wanted because I had faith in the universe and all my parts had faith in the me of today. Being 100% honest, there are some that took a little longer to change. For example, I had grown up as a skinny kid, and even when I was reaching my 20s, I was underweight no matter what I ate. I spent 2+ years almost listening to weight gain subs. And nothing was happening. When I shifted my method to this, I realized that because of my race and ethnicity, my ancestors had gone through long periods of starvation. This is the reality for many people. There are actual studies that show that Native American people are more likely to be overweight and hold on to extra weight because of the starvation they've had to go through over centuries. So I had to process all of that and make my body realize that this was no longer the case. Additionally, I had to process all the comments made from family members and peers over the years about my weight, plus get rid of and cleanse myself of the jealousy that they sent towards me. And I had to let go of my cultural beliefs, or patriarchal beauty industry beliefs I had around weight. Remember how Jung divided our subconscious, cultural beliefs, environmental beliefs based upon your age, race, gender, etc. Basically every single part of your current identity. You must separate yourself from those if they aren't aligned with what you're trying to manifest or who you're trying to become. So, I ask myself, what do I deeply believe about skinny people? What have I been told about skinny people? Skinny people are blank. How about skinny women? How about people who aren't skinny, but aren't fit? What do I think about fat people? What do I believe? Are there any preconceived notions I subconsciously make about these groups of people? Remember those words, preconceived and subconscious. What we are doing with this process is going into our subconscious by approaching ourselves, our minds, bodies, emotions, memories and feelings differently and non-judgmentally so we can see what's been implemented there, process any and all feelings so we can clean the slate. We are going to the roots of what we don't want, yanking them out, turning the soil into a healthy one and planting the seeds of what we do want. This is what it means when people say that everything you need is within you already, that you have everything you need. In Jung's terms, it's in the self, the true you. The one that has been buried by all of these subconscious beliefs. And in using subliminals this way, you are not only becoming that person again, you are becoming the you that you needed back then. You are becoming the you that all those past versions of you needed. This is why change is inevitable once you go down this path. When you are feeling safe and grounded and a little bit more comfortable with this process, and trust me, you will feel it. Your body is the guide. Because it is the thing that allows you to hold on to your manifestations. It will let you know when it's time to listen to subliminals. And when that happens, have fun and go for it. Yes. Maybe you will get triggered again and have to take a pause and go through the process of cleaning out. That's okay. Remember, be curious, loving and kind to yourself. It is key. I promise you that the more you do this, the shorter the pauses will be in between listening to subliminals. You've got this. One last thing that I will add, and the final step in the process. You must change your lifestyles to fit what you want. You want to know the easiest way to shift timelines? Change your behavior. When you create a safe container to change your actions, you take a step into your next identity and your desired timeline. For example, a huge way I manifested money was by showing myself and the universe that I was prepared to handle it. I changed my subconscious beliefs about money while simultaneously reading about money, economics, making myself a budget planner, and reading about banks and credit unions and stocks. I stopped spending the little money I had on what I didn't need. By doing this, I was able to process my anxieties around money and my relationship to it in the 3D and consistently show the universe that, hey, I've got it. Look at my habits. Look at how I'm learning and thinking about this. I feel physically safe and ready for these blessings. And it came to me. Same with my appearance. The change in my weight stayed at the end by going to the gym consistently, so that my body noticed that gaining weight wasn't going to affect our health negatively, since I had healthy habits. And the change came and stayed. Take a deep breath now. That was a lot of information. These are the basics about how I manifest still to this day, and how subliminals are a huge part of it. If y'all have any questions at all, please leave them below. I really want to help. More subliminals and information videos will be coming out soon. Send me any requests. All my links are in the description below. Love you, love you, love you.